About 5 months ago, I made a video where I turned an optical illusion into a playable character. Now, for those who didn't watch the video, I effectively created like a replica of the character that moved at a low frame rate, right? So like, let's say, you have your Roblox character. So this guy would move around, but like at 5 frames per second, while everything else in the world would move normally, right? So it created this cool little effect where like you were moving at a low frame rate, but everything else was still the same. And then I made another video where this time, instead of making something myself, I found like some guy's project file where he was also experimenting with optical illusions and making these like cool looking portal things, and people love these videos, right? I mean, the optical illusion video that I mentioned before has just hit 1 million views, and the second optical illusion video that I mentioned is about to hit 1 million views, right? So both of them have been doing incredibly well because people just like to see this type of stuff, Now, if you're someone who has watched both videos, you may recognize this item. This is a viewport frame. And this is also what is responsible for nearly every optical illusion that I showed in those 2 videos. For those who don't know, a viewport frame is effectively a piece of user interface, right? So user interface is stuff like button, text, etc., right? And what a viewport frame allows you to do is whatever model you put inside of the viewport frame will then be shown inside of that viewport frame, right? So all I have is I have a camera, I have a part, and with this viewport frame is showing me what the camera is seeing, which is this part. And so, for example, if I were to, let's say, take this part and change its position, right? Look at that. See, if I change if I set the X to be 5, it's gonna go here. If I set the Y to be 5, it's gonna go up. If I set the Z to be like 10 or something, it gets closer to the camera. Now, you might be thinking like, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool, but how does this relate to optical illusions? Well, the whole point of an optical illusion is that it's something that takes things that exist, such as a viewport frame, to make it seem like a thing that doesn't exist. So like, for example, you can't really make a Roblox character low frame rate. Like, I mean, there are crude ways of doing it. Like, you could make some animation that, plays at a low frame rate, or you could make the character only like teleport every few frames or so. Like, there are ways to get around it, but it will never be a naturally low frame rate character. So what I did in that video is I basically made a viewport frame which took all of the parts in my character, turned them into user interface, and only updated that user interface every 5 frames or so. And so then that obviously would create a real natural low frame rate character, as opposed to trying to brute force some weird animation strategy. And so this got me thinking, is there anything that I haven't done with viewport frames? Because this is an incredibly powerful tool, and people only really use this for like shops. Like, for example, let's say you have like some first-person shooter where you can sell guns to people, right? If there's some button which opens up a shop, the only reason why viewport frames are even used is just to like show like the gun model inside of the viewport frame, right? Like, oh look, here's how the gun looks, and maybe it's gonna like be spinning in the menu as well. And that's it. Like, that's all that people use these things for. But in this video, I want to explore a few more ideas of optical illusions, right? I just want to push these things too close to their extremes, just to see what's possible, right? So hopefully, if you are a developer, this will give you inspiration. And if you're not a developer, this will just show you what Roblox is actually capable of. So then what I'm going to do is I'll just make a new viewport frame. I'm going to scale the viewport frame to fit the entire screen. And then I'll also just set the transparency of the viewport frame, or like the background of the viewport frame, to be 1, meaning that all of this white stuff is gone, but any parts that the viewport frame might show will be visible. The very first optical illusion that I want to show you in this video is the transparency optical illusion, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'll just make a block like so. I'm gonna scale it to be pretty wide, and like a little bit tall. And I'm also going to anchor it. I'm gonna set can collide to be false. I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna move it over here, and then I'm gonna select both of them, duplicate both of them, rotate them around like so, and yeah, create like this type of pattern. Then I'll take all 4 of those parts, I'll move them into one folder, which I'll just call parts folder. And the final thing that I'll do is I'll select all these parts once again and make all of them invisible. And now you might be wondering, like, okay, what was the point of that? Like we made some parts and now they're invisible and you can't even like collide with them. So what's the point? Because if I played the game right now, like we can't even tell that there are parts in the world, right? Because they practically don't exist. Well, that's the whole point, right? The whole point of an optical illusion, like I said before, is to take something that exists and then create an illusion to make it seem like something that doesn't actually exist actually exists. So just to quickly show you what I mean, right? Can we code this viewport frame to show us these parts, right? Can we do that? So right now the parts, you know, they're actually invisible, but could we make the viewport frame show these parts as user interface? So what I'll do is I'll make a local script right here, and I'm going to make a variable. Local view is equal to script.parent, wait for child, viewport frame, right? So script.parent, viewport frame, and I'll say local folder is equal to workspace, wait for child, parts folder. And what I'll do is I'll make a loop while task.waits do, meaning that this will be a loop that runs as fast as Roblox can update. So in short, it's going to run every single frame. I'm going to say view.current camera is equal to the workspace current camera, or in other words, the camera of the viewport frame will be equal to the camera of the player. Then I'll say for I, comma v in folder get children do. So we're going to loop through the folder, and we're going to say if v is a base parts, then we're going to say local new part is equal to v clone. So we're going to clone whatever part is inside of the folder. We're going to say new part dot transparency is equal to 0. So we're going to make it fully visible. And then the final thing we're going to do is say new part dot parent is equal to view. So we're going to place the new part inside of the viewport frame. But obviously we can't just keep placing parts inside of the viewport frame every single frame, because then it's just going to very quickly fill up with parts, right? Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say view clear all children. So every frame, we're first going to clear all children of the viewport frame, meaning we're going to delete anything that might be inside of the viewport frame, and then we're going to fill it up with new children. Then we're going to clear all children, then fill it up with new children. And the reason we're doing this is just in case like something changes about these parts. Like for example, if I happen to set this part to a different color, then it's going to be able to update. And so then if I were to go and play the game, yeah, look at that. Now, because it is user interface, it will be drawn on top of everything. So like, for example, my player is hidden by these walls, even though technically he should be you know, in front of them. But as you can see, the user interface is actually showing the parts correctly. This is basically exactly the layout that we gave it. And what is cool about this is that there is another really interesting item in Roblox called a UI gradient. Now this thing is mainly used for colors, right? Like you can make a color that's like a gradient, so like it can go from like green to white or whatever, right? You could do that. However, the thing that I'm focusing on is this. You can make a gradient transparency. So I can say that, okay, it's transparent only in the middle, but not on the sides. So then what if inside of this viewport frame, we can add a UI gradient and then set the transparency like this? Now, because we added something inside of the viewport frame, we would have to actually modify the script, because here it's going to be deleting all children, right? But we don't want to delete the UI gradient. So what I'll do now is I'm going to say, so then what I'll do is I'll just say for iv in view get children do. If not, v is a UI gradient. So anything that isn't a UI gradient, then v destroy end. And so let's see if I play the game right now. Yep, look at that. If I go first person, as you can see, on the sides, it's not transparent, but whenever I look somewhere, it becomes transparent. Now, this effect isn't that noticeable. However, what I could do is I could just do it like this, right? So I can just add some more nodes, and yeah, there we go. And so what this then creates is a part that becomes basically invisible when you're looking at it, right? And like, yeah, this looks really cool, honestly, right? I can walk through it, I can look here. Now, because this relies on the player's camera, we could like zoom out, and then, you know, this will mainly look invisible because the camera is now just looking at everything. But then if I zoom back in, now it looks a lot more realistic, right? This is pretty cool. And just for fun, we could also reverse the values, right? So instead of it being only invisible in the center, we could make it only visible in the center, right? So look at that. We could just do something like this. And so then if I happen to go and play the game, look at that. So we can only see the part when we actually look at it. So we can see the corner, right? We can see all of that. And then if I actually go to the parts and set them to be, you know, collidable so that the player can actually collide into the parts again, this creates for such a fun little mini game. Look at that. So like the parts are actually collidable, but you have to know where they are by looking at them. Look at that. Imagine making some sort of game where like it's like a maze, you know, and like you have to look around to actually understand where the maze is. Like, I don't know, this has a lot of genuine potential, not just as an optical illusion, but like I said, as an actual gameplay element, right? And I mean, yeah, you just have to prevent the player from like zooming their camera too far out, because then they can see everything. But like, you know, this looks pretty cool. Now, another thing you can do is also the gradient, right? So let's say I can set this to be cyan, and then I can set this to be like some, you know, deep purple color. With something like this, then this will also apply to the parts, right? Now, with how the system works right now, the color is going to look the same because, you know, like we're looking at the middle, and so the middle will always be like this bluish purple mix. But if I zoom out, like you can see the gradient, right? You can see some cyan, you can see the blue, you can see the purple here. We probably should just make the gradient like very, very noticeably different on each side. So maybe we can have like, you know, a purple here, a red in the middle, and then another purple. And then if I do it this way, and then yeah, just change the gradient up a little bit more, because the problem with how it's set up right now is that this red thing is in the middle, and all that we can see is effectively the red. But then again, if I set this to be like some, you know, weird purple color, and then, you know, the red is going to be here, then we're going to see a lot more of a noticeable difference, right? Yeah, look at that. There we go. So it's purple here, red here, and yeah, it's not like a big change, but, you know, it's pretty visible. And actually, I noticed that it's a bit dark, so we can actually go to the viewport frame and change these settings to be fully white. And so then if I do it like this, then they should be a lot brighter. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Damn. So yeah, I don't know, imagine just playing a game and like, you know, you have to actually look to see where the part is. Oh, the corner. Oh no. Okay, let me go here. Another corner. Let me go here. Let me go here. Yeah, I said this before, but this genuinely has so much potential. Like, especially the fact that the farther you get, the more you can see, right? Like, I can see a lot of really cool potential with this, right? Where you have to, like, get really far away from a scene to even see everything that's going on around it. Now, this next one will actually be about a character, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new rig, which I'll call starter character, and then I'm going to put him inside of starter player. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because my character kind of breaks when it comes to viewport frames, because he has like a lot of accessories, and instead I'm going to be using a basic character with no accessories. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the parts folder. I'm going to delete the variable over here, and instead I'll make a variable local players equal to game players.local player. And on the very top, we're going to say if not player character, then continue end. So if the player doesn't have a character, we're going to skip this loop and move on to the next one. And so then we're going to loop through player.character gets descendants. And so it's going to loop through the character. It's going to check whenever something is a base part. And also I'm going to add and v.name is not humanoid root part, because the humanoid root part is meant to be invisible, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And the last thing I'll do is I'll take every single part inside of the character and I'm going to set it to be invisible. And so the result should then look something like this, right? So I have my character, which is currently invisible, right? And in case you haven't seen my low frame rate video, this is actually exactly how I do it. So I could say like every 0.5 seconds, right? And like, look at that. I mean, okay, actually, wait. So what I can do is I can say like 0.1 seconds, right? And then every 0.1 seconds, it's going to update the character, right? Look at that. Like, this looks pretty cool. I do actually like the low frame rate look, so I'll just set this to be like 0.05 or something. Now, for this little optical illusion, I'm going to have to put the local script inside of the viewport frame. So then I'll say view is script.parent. And then I'll say if not v is a gradient and not v is a local script. So it must be not a UI gradient and not a local script for it to be destroyed. And then I'm going to take the viewport frame and I'm going to duplicate it 3 times. I'm going to set this viewport frame's rotation to be 180. I'm going to set this one to be 90. And I'm going to set this one to be 270. And if I happen to go play the game right now, amazing. That's pretty cool. Let me actually remove the time from the task.wait, because it does look kind of choppy like that. But then, yeah, like again, if I play the game, look at that. Look at that. What the hell? So what this is it takes my character, clones the character 3 times effectively, and then just changes the rotation of the viewport frame to make this weird looking thing. So yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, like biblically accurate angel. Look at that. This is entirely possible in Roblox. What the hell? Yeah, and like whenever I move the camera, it like... Whoa. Yeah, this is really cool. And then if they jump, yeah, they all kind of get close together. Let me actually see. What if I do like E dance or something? Oh yeah, they're all dancing. That is so cool. And the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a UI gradient inside of the viewport frame. And I'm just going to set the color to be something like, I'm not too sure. I think red is good. And then I'll set this one to be like, yeah, like a deep purplish color. And I'll just set 2 nodes here, which I will then use to kind of make the middle a bit more different, right? So I'm going to, yeah, do something like this. Yeah, there we go. And so then what I'll do is I'll make a local script inside of this UI gradient, and I will say game.tweenService create script.parent tweeninfo.new 3 seconds enum.easingstyle.linear enum.easingDirection.in repeat count -1 reverses true, and then for property we're going to say rotation is equal to 360, and then we're going to play it. And what this will do, in short, is it's going to make an animation that's going to play for 3 seconds, which is going to affect the script.parent, which is the UI gradient, and it's going to set the rotation to go a full 360, and then it's going to just repeat it forever. So every 3 seconds, it's going to loop the rotation, then it's going to loop back, then it's going to loop it back again, and it's just going to keep doing that forever. And so now I'll just take this gradient and I will paste it inside of every other viewport frame. And so let's see. Oh, wow. And then the final thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set the colors back to be fully white. Because I just set them to be gray a little bit because it looked weird with like a fully white character. But let's see how this actually is going to look. Yep, look at that. How cool is that? So what we've just created is art, okay? This is a real playable character. What the hell? And I can't even imagine how something like this could work with like accessories, you know? Because like I said, I didn't use my own character because of this. What I could do like is I could remove the starter character and we can see how it's going to look with my own character. Yeah, look, it just doesn't work out that well. But it still somewhat works. Oh, damn, wait. Alright, so I just modified the script to add the low frame rate effect back in, but I did it in a slightly different way by making new cameras every 0.1 seconds instead of just using the regular workspace camera. So what this should do is make this effect. This is amazing. Yeah, so, you know, this is Roblox. Look at that. And then, again, if I do E dance 2 or whatever, or no, wait, E dance 2, like that. Amazing. Truly amazing. This is actually very, very mesmerizing. And yeah, this is so weird. If I zoom out, it looks like some weird, like, shuriken crosshair thing, but then if I zoom back in, it's just our characters. It's the player who's been cloned and modified a bunch, like, yeah, 3 times or so. This is so cool. So yeah, you know, these are just some of the things that you are able to do with viewport frames. There's definitely a lot more that I haven't touched on. If you haven't seen the 2 videos that I mentioned at the start of the video, do go check it out because I go into a lot more of just how this stuff works, and, you know, I do the other stuff, you know, besides just this. I will also just say that do go follow my Instagram. It's in the description and the pinned comment because I have like pictures of like like pigeons on it. So quick story time, right? My dad found like baby pigeons and they were like dying, and then we like brought them home. We fed them for like a couple months, or not a couple months, like a month. And now they're like big fat pigeons. And the other day actually, and I swear this is true, an eagle, like they fly to our balcony to eat. And then as they fly to our balcony, a couple seconds later, like an eagle just rams into the floor, like chasing after them. And, you know, they're really fast, and so they escaped. But we had like an eagle like on our balcony just chilling for a little bit. It was insane. So yeah, go to my Instagram. check out the photos and follow me, obviously. And also, I do have a course, you know, I teach a bunch of stuff. Not exactly optical illusions, but just Roblox Studio in general, how to script, how to make games. If you're a beginner and you like my teaching style, do go check it out. It's free to preview, so you don't have to pay. But if you want the full course, it is like 40 bucks or something. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like, you know, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything that I haven't tried that you have tried yourself that you think I would like to know about. Because I honestly would. Like, I really am curious to see, like, what you could do with viewports that I haven't yet done. And, you know, obviously it should be something that's fairly different from this. Like, if it's, like, the same thing with a slight tweak, that's obviously not a different mechanic. I want to see something, like, brand new and, like, you know, really exciting. But yeah, you know, share this video around, I don't know, share this in dev forum, show people what's possible. I really hope more Roblox games, like I said this before, but I hope more Roblox games use viewport frames from now on for these cool little illusions. Like, I know a game probably doesn't need a character that looks like this, but, like, you know, the fact that you can do that, you know, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of room for creativity here. And yeah, so hopefully you found this insightful, life-changing, obviously, you know, give it a like, share. You can even just click the share button and you don't have to share. I think YouTube does count that as engagement still. You know, comment, subscribe, notifications, blah, 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 blah. And we are back to basics. Thank you for watching.